Hello, good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here on this panel on autonomous network. As my colleague said, we're going to talk about how to leverage automation in a large-scale transport network. My name is Masara Mohammed. I'm a senior research analyst at IDC. I cover enterprise comm. And today, I'm joined by a great mix of key panelists from the key players in the industry. We have a mix of operators and vendors to talk about their journey, the challenges, and the opportunities lie ahead to achieve full autonomy. So I'd like to welcome my panelists, please. Great, so let's kick it off with, I'll let you guys introduce yourself and what are you guys doing in your organization. So we have Nokia with us. Sasha, would you like to kick it off?
Hi, well, thanks for having me here. Pleasure to be here. My name is Sasa Nijemcevic. I lead the Nokia's network automation business unit, focusing on transport, so we're part of the network infrastructure business group, and working with our customers, primarily service providers and also enterprises, kind of helping them through the automation journey.
Great.
So, hello everyone. My name is Rudolf Strijkers, and I'm lead architect OSS at Swisscom.
Hi, my name is Wendy Wheat. I am from T-Mobile, and I spend my day-to-day in operations between IT, network, and cyber.
Good afternoon. My name is Alessandra Pavese, and in Vodafone, I'm the head of the cloud and connectivity evolution and automation.
Great, pleasure. So I would like to start by, we as IDC surveyed 150 EMEA telcos last year, and we asked them, what will your organization top networking priorities will be for over the next 2 years? And the highest priorities we're seeing is improving network automation. So I would like to ask you guys, from your perspective, what do you see as the primary business and technical drivers accelerating your adoption of automation in large-scale networks? Would you like to kick it off for us?
Yeah, sure. So in Vodafone, what we are doing, what is driving us most from business perspective is the customer experience. And we are trying to do that through, let's say, the optimization of the network, and in particular the network performances optimization in order to better meet the customer need and the customer services, and through the ability to reduce the time to market in order to fulfill with their requirements. From operational point of view, the main driver is the need to simplify the operating model, to simplify the activity that we have to do through mainly the programmability that the automation can bring, the standardization and the programmability of the task and the activity that we have to do.
Great. So it's about customer experience and simplification. Wendy, from T-Mobile's perspective, what do you think are the primary driver for you guys?
I think, kind of to build off of her, really our focus as well is on the internal customer experience, right? So that we're able to make sure externally our customers are cared for as they need to be. So from an operations discipline, we spend a lot of time and energy ensuring that we have all of the data correct, the right information, so that we can make sure our tools are going to be as effective and efficient as they can be for our end customer.
Yeah, about the internal data qualities. Rodolphe, from Swisscom perspective, what do you see as the primary?
Yeah, so I can extend on that. So it's the operational part that's really important for us, but it's also that our ultimate goal is to open up our internal capabilities so that we can integrate better with other customers or other industries. So we would really like to have, like, for example, IP transport as a service or other areas in our domains that we can really expose, and both internally and externally.
Okay. Nokia, what do you see the main drivers are?
Well, yeah, so I agree with what was said. So there's common things, right? Like a time to market, time to revenue for new services, or cost savings, operational efficiencies. One aspect that I do see a lot of is reduction of human errors. Using automation as a means to reduce the human errors, and thus improve the quality of experience for customers, etc. And the other thing that is becoming more and more important is use of automation to handle the dynamicity of the networks, changes in the networks, new emerging traffic patterns, build data center build-outs. We are talking about AI and AI use cases that are going to drive different behavior in the networks, and automation is typically the right answer to handle the dynamicity of the networks and in less predictable traffic patterns, right?
Thank you. Dynamicity of the network. That's interesting. Okay, so we all know that TM Forum defines 5 levels of automation, ranging from manual controls to fully autonomous, self-observing, self-healing, self-configuring networks. So I would like to ask you guys, where are you on your journey to achieve this full autonomy? And are you guys focused on specific use cases?
Yeah, sure. From the business perspective, we are very much focusing on delivering connectivity on demand. So we are developing projects around this area in order to give to our customers, especially business customers, the opportunity to, let's say, configure, create, manage their services according to their need, with the ability to add the flexibility, the ability to scale up and scale down the bandwidth of their connectivity. So this is for sure one area that we are focused on. From operational perspective, I have to say that in the past 2 years we have done a very good job, I would say, on the automation of testing. So we have reached a very good level to automate all the testing activity we do on IP routers, on optical as well, on the controller layer, so the SDN, the software-defined networking products we are using. So really to allow us to squeeze and make much simpler and enable many more test campaigns on our product through testing automation. And in parallel, from operational perspective, we are working very much focusing now on standardization and automation of configurations in order to, let's say, simplify the activity that has to be done in the network, reduce the time to execute those kind of tasks, and take the opportunity of the development of automation also to standardize the services and the configuration we're going to make on our connectivity network.
Great, thank you. So we have the focus on connectivity on demand and the simplification for the operation. Wendy, from your perspective, where are you guys on your journey towards automation?
A lot of focus right now just on the quality of the information and data, right? So I think we all want to get to autonomy, we all want to get to the use of AI and our different tools, but the reality is at the end of the day, if you're not populating and keeping your data updated, cataloged correctly, set up correctly, it's not going to work, right? So a lot of focus to make sure that we have all of the data and information we have and the right information and data so that we have our tools tuned to be the most effective as they can be.
Are you guys focusing on any specific use cases currently?
There's a number of different ones. I think what we have found is trying to find and use a broad range of different use cases in different areas so that we can prove out and make sure that as we're building things and setting our tools up, they're going to be as effective as we can. So doing them in short sprints, right? So we're not doing the big bang where you're getting together and you've got your development all together. We're trying to do things very iterative so that we're making sure very quickly along the way that we are actually delivering what it is we intend to deliver.
Thank you. Rodolphe, from Swisscom perspective, where are you guys on your journey towards full autonomous network?
So I can highlight a few aspects of what we're doing. First is we have established an architecture vision, which is really a key if you want to move your legacy to a better place, so to speak. And this includes not only a vision for how we see domains, but also how we organize ourselves, which is a very important other aspect as well. And so there are like 30 operational domains that we define today towards we're then using our life cycles and our business investments to move towards this target architecture. So that's one thing. Then if you ask yourself the question, well, where are we then in automating? Well, our goal is that these operational domains are completely decoupled. That means we only communicate via APIs. Or you could maybe go back to this principle that Jeff Bezos once wrote in his email, you only communicate via APIs or you're fired. This kind of thing we also want to have, because that allows us to really make sure that these autonomous domains are in themselves able to do whatever they want. That's one aspect as well. And then finally, we have reached quite a high level of automation in IP transport, where we tried to work on these concepts. So we implemented CI/CD in networking, which was a challenge, but it gave us test automation. We can now very fastly deploy changes in the network. We can do daytime changes. All these things were previously not possible because we were not strict enough in how we did, for example, the testing in the labs. So we see on various levels that we're progressing, and the beauty of having an architecture vision with all these domains is that we can parallelize it. So we can take our life cycles, like for example in access network we have a life cycle running, but we also are consolidating our IP networks, and we can parallelize these initiatives and then move towards this target architecture using these invests.
Sasha, from a vendor perspective, do you find that most operators are at a similar stage in their journey? And how is Nokia supporting CSPs as they progress towards full autonomy?
All right. So I think different operators, I don't think they're all in the similar stages. I think people are investing in the areas that matter to them the most, and it varies from operator to operator what those priorities are. But there's definitely investment everywhere, and as you said earlier, automation has become a high priority across the board, so there is a consistency there. What we can do, what we are doing as a vendor is a couple of things. Like one is, obviously, when you think about automation, you need to start with a platform, and what is your automation platform, right? So bringing a platform that has capabilities that cover the entire scope of the operational management of the network, right? Not just one aspect like provisioning, but also all the different aspects, telemetry, optimization, cross-domain coordination, all these other things, right? And introduction of more advanced use cases. The second thing is, which I think is really important, is the partnership, right? Because in the end, automation in nature is a partnership that goes over extended periods of time, right? As Wendy said, you're implementing use cases in iterative way, right? You work together for an extended period of time, and then there's prioritization of things that changes, and there's evolution of the capabilities that we work with our customers on together. And I think the third important part is the global experience, right? As a big global vendor, we have customers all around the world, right? And we work on hundreds of automation projects, and obviously through that we are learning what works, what doesn't, what are the most common use cases, how can they be industrialized in a manner that can be deployed faster, implemented better, and so on and so forth. So that kind of global learning that we bring to the table as well, right?
Okay, so we have, the software capabilities there, the experience, the partnership. Now that we understood a little bit about your guys' journey, I would like to ask about what are the challenges you have faced while you're going through these stages of automating the network, and how are you guys addressing these challenges step by step across the way?
I can start mentioning that for sure the cultural aspect of this journey is fundamental, and is one of the challenges, because when we implement automation is not only the development aspect, but also how to deploy, how to operate. So it's a really transversal end-to-end within the operating model of the company. And the other aspect, which is very challenging, which I think we see challenges in the adoption rate, is the transformation of the processes, because you cannot develop automation and then apply use cases into the as-is processes that are the ones used for manual activities and the manual operating model. So also the process has to be transformed in order to better accommodate and enable the adoption of the use cases. So for sure those are two aspects that I see as very challenging, where we for sure have to work and focus more.
Wendy, do you guys came across similar challenges, or do you came across different challenges? How is it from your perspective?
I think one of the main things that we continue to focus on as far as challenges is just wanting to reduce the downtime, whether it's internal or external, right? And so in doing that, it's really taking a lot of time and practice and discipline with folks from a process perspective, right, of getting them on board and agreeing on, as you run into challenges, what's the process to fix them and how are we going to do that? And so we've spent quite a bit of time investing in the processes and the people and disciplines around that. So ultimately, at the end of the day, we can reduce our impact as far as downtime, whether it's internal, external, which at the end of the day relates to money, right? So I think that's one of the areas that we've spent a lot of time on, and it's really helped us in the long term.
Rodolphe, from Swisscom perspective, do you guys see similar challenges?
Yeah, so we have all these challenges as well. But what I would like to highlight, because I don't think you hear it too often, is the governance challenge. So we have, as I said, this architecture vision where we have these 30 domains. And then comes the life cycles, the business initiatives, and this is often large scale, a lot happening. And to align the architects or align the value streams, you have at least 5-6 value streams involved, which are then around 300, 400, 500 FTEs. This is a huge planning exercise. And so this is where we maybe struggle the most. How do we plan and synchronize and align all these initiatives, because we don't have the ability to invest ahead of time. So we can only do it in these events. And that leads to answering questions. Well, I would rather build the garage now, for example, or the first floor of the bedroom, because only for that I have the money. But I know that I also have to build the living room. And so putting all these things in place, that is really, this is one big puzzle. So
Yeah.
it's very challenging.
Sasha, from your perspective, hearing these challenges and where they are on their journey right now, when do you believe operator will reach that level 5 full autonomy? And what are the most common trade-offs they are facing on their way?
So I'm not going to venture a guess on when the full autonomy will be achieved. But I think the end goal may not be the full autonomy. It's the journey, and it's really addressing the most important priorities for each of the operators, and they will vary, right? But definitely what I see is, as I said earlier, the focus on automation is there. Now, what are the trade-offs? And I think we touched on some of these things. On a technology side and architecture side, there are many trade-offs that we run into, right? Like you can have some fundamental principles that we all agree are important, right? You have abstraction, you have intent-based operations, you have separation of concern between the domain controllers and hierarchical controllers and so on and so forth. But then when we get to implementation, sometimes those architectural principles are challenged, right? Because of the legacy heritage, or some devices don't support something, or things like that. So there's, on the technology side, we are often faced with that, right? And then it's the strength of the organization, whether, like Rudolf said, can you enforce certain principles and can you stick to it, knowing that that it's beneficial for the future. So that's a common thing that we see across the board, and some organizations handle it better than the others, right? But as a vendor, we have to have the flexibility to support either or, right? But then there are other trade-offs that Alessandra touched on is on a human side, right? Organizational trade-offs, process trade-offs that you need to make. You may need to invest in skills of people, in new ways of doing in order to support adoption of automation. So we see a lot of that, right? That is not necessarily not technical or not architectural, but more on a human side as well. Right?
Okay, so it's from the both sides, the technological aspects, but also the cultural and the skills aspect within the organization. Yeah. Okay, so we touched about the challenges about fragmentation, interoperabilities, skills, legacy, governance, but where are you going to see, or where are you expecting to see the most benefits that moving towards full autonomy is going to bring you?
What we see already happening, the main benefits that we see are around the simplification, internal simplification of the activity, and as a consequence, let's say, less effort, time needed to execute a task. This is for sure there. Time to market is one of the benefits that we see, and also the standardization of configurations, of way to do things, that for Vodafone is extremely important because we have multiple markets around Europe, so it's important to have the ability to stand in the process and the way of working that help us to standardize the activity across the different network and the different markets. Those are for sure benefits that we are already seeing happening.
Right. Wendy, from your perspective, where are you seeing the most benefit, or where are you expecting to see benefits after moving to full autonomous networks?
I think from a benefit perspective, we've been focused both internally and externally too, right? So operationally, how is this going to benefit us? Making sure that we are able to ultimately reduce costs, right, from an operations perspective. And so externally, obviously the benefit for the customer is going to be huge, right? So that's really the areas where we're focused on ensuring internally and externally what will have the biggest benefit.
Rodolphe, in Swisscom, what are the benefits you guys have?
There are many benefits, but one of the key elements, I would say, is that ultimately we want to be able to treat our domains as being Lego blocks that you use to compose services. And for that to happen, you need this automation to be in place. You need the domains to be very flexible, fast in developing new features. And then we need to be able to innovate. So one of the tests would be that we could lifecycle a network without the rest of the organization knowing. That would be definitely a big benefit. We're seeing also benefits today by deploying CI/CD pipelines. We can really see that the network changes are done in a more reliable manner. We have less errors, like was said before. We deploy faster. So there are many benefits there that are operational. I think from a business perspective, we need to move faster. We are introducing services much faster than we did before. And we see that we then keep the old technologies too long, and then they cost us too much. And having this Lego block approach would allow us to phase out these old technologies and introducing the new ones. And so this is what we hope will happen.
Great. So we've heard now, a lot of benefits like fold and task reduction, speed to go to market, interoperability, and being telcos are bigger integrated with the wire team of the industries. So Sasha, from Nokia perspective, as we all know, Nokia plays a central role in enabling automation. So what are the most critical capabilities or architectural principles that vendors need to bring to support CSPs to achieve this successfully full autonomous?
Yeah, so there are a couple of things there. One is, I talked about the platform and capabilities of the platform, and there's some fundamental principles that I think, would all agree are important. Intent-based operations across the board, the programmability and flexibility of the platforms because of the use cases, automation use cases, do vary to a certain extent from operator to operator. But the important aspect there that I see from a vendor perspective is we build these platforms and software capabilities at scale, right? The networks that operators are running are mission-critical networks that cannot go down. They are very large, very dynamic. So testing, building these platforms that can sustain, tens of thousands of devices, very busy networks, and et cetera. So that's something we need to bring to the table, right? Industrialization of automation at scale in a multi-vendor environment across multiple domains, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think that's important. I mentioned the global experience and skills, right? We talked about the skills earlier, but in order for us or the operators to have really fully functioning automation use cases, you need the software developers who understand the networking, who understand the cloud, who understand the testing. Like there's a skill and experience aspect as well. And last but not least, I would say the introduction of new technologies and innovation is almost continuous from our side, right? Today we are talking about AI and Gen AI. Well, this is just one of the technologies that we are bringing into the automation platforms and portfolios, but collectively we are constantly challenged with new things and new technologies that we need to kind of take advantage of and build into automation use cases over time, right?
Great, Sasha, thank you. We still have a couple of minutes left, so I would like to ask you if you're going to look back at your journey and why you came for where you are right now. What are the lessons learned going through this journey, and is there anything that you would have changed gaining this knowledge and lessons?
I think what I would like to mention is more on the human being perspective more than technology. So I think it's extremely important looking back that when we enter into this journey, it's important to stay focused, to keep with us a lot of energy, and to stay very positive, because the journey is not an easy one, because of all those challenges that we are mentioning that are not very much only technology, but are very much related to cultural transformation, to process transformation, so to interact with people and help them to go through this journey. So I think this is going back, I think it's probably one of the most important things to always keep in mind.
Thank you. Wendy, from your perspective, what are the lessons learned?
I would say we are very much still in the middle of the journey at this point, right? And I think the biggest thing for us is really just learning every day from our journey, right? So making sure the things that come up unexpectedly, we are talking about them, we're learning from them, and we're sharing and communicating to others so they understand what might happen and how we can approach it going forward. So really it's been a lot about the people, again, the people and the process, and making sure that everybody's rowing the same direction in the boat so that we'll reach our destination the most quickly.
Yeah, it's about communication, culture, the people to be central. Rodolphe, from your perspective, what are the lessons learned?
Well, one thing is that it's a very fundamental transformation that we're doing here. It's organization, it's architecture, it's technology, it's the way we work together. In the beginning, we might have taken it slightly too lightly. On the other hand, if I would have thought it would be so fundamental, maybe I wouldn't have started it. But what really helped us was that we put a very clear architecture vision, which is critical if you want to move with all these different initiatives. So that's an important lesson learned, and what we had maybe should have done better is to be stronger on stakeholder management. Because it is so fundamental, and because business should see it as an enabler, not as an operational issue that you need to onboard very well, and many parts of the organizations, not only management, but also the architects, the POs, the people that are working with these concepts. You need to bring them on board into this vision.
Yeah, so everybody should be aligned within the organization.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, but it pays off later because it's a decoupled, decentralized transformation anyway, so you don't do it alone. It is done by the teams, by the people. And they need to understand where they need to go. So this communicating this vision is extremely important.
Yeah. Sasha, would you like to add anything to that?
Well, I just want to echo what was said earlier. Really, automation is, I think, as much a human engagement and challenge as it is a technology one, right? And we talked about the skills, but it's also like fear of automation in general in society, losing jobs or changes that it brings. So there's a lot of human aspects that we as an industry need to think about when we are dealing with the challenges of automation.
Thank you. Okay, so I'll ask you guys to give the audience here, what is one takeaway you would like to leave the audience with today?
I would reiterate the point related to the human being aspect. I would leave with the point that the automation is a journey, is a long journey that requires to address a lot of the unknown when we start the journey. So we need to be positive, and be ready to face something that is unknown, and always keep an open mind in order to properly embrace and address the points that are coming along the journey.
Thank you. Wendy, what's one takeaway you would like to leave the audience with? You could keep it in one word as a challenge.
I just urge, as much as we want to get things done as quickly as possible, not to cut corners, because at the end of the day, from an operations perspective, it really puts you in a pickle, because you end up not being as effective and efficient as you will be. So I know it costs time and money to work on things more diligently and a little bit longer, but in the long run, usually it will pay off. It will pay itself off, I guess, in the sense of you'll have better data and information, and you'll be able to respond to things more quickly.
Thank you. Wonderful. Would you like to go?
I would just like to underline and stress my previous point, so to have a very clear vision and to get the buy-in of as many people as is possible, because it's a very long journey. It will take many steps in many different contexts, so just be aware, if you don't have a good vision, you will not get there.
Thank you. Sasha, would you like to close it for us?
I guess the only thing to add would be maybe that we talk about the journey, but really it's when you say the word automation, it means so many things to a lot of people. And for every organization, finding what are those wins that we can have that are achievable and practical and show results, and kind of starting on that journey with something practical, right? I've seen many cases where organizations just get paralyzed because they're trying to solve too many problems at once, right? Versus I've seen very successful automation initiatives where you start very small and you kind of gaining experience, success, transforming the organization and moving through that journey in partnership, right? Obviously with multiple organizations and stakeholders. I think finding those use cases or results that you can show, get support, and then move forward is really, really important, right?
Okay, so it's moving step by step, making sure everybody's aligned and continue learning during the journey. Perfect. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Well, now we have the lunch coming, and I don't want to stand on the way.